Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Once again, I'm Ned from Ned's Tech Bits, otherwise known as your friendly neighborhood basement dweller. Don't worry, ma'am, I am from the internet, and today from the archives, I'd like to add this Liberty 1944, the April edition. Got some smoochy. I love the retrofuturism kind of art that we have there. Cover price is a whole 5 cents. It's what, like $10 now? So this was before the gold standard. Now that's interesting. The Canadian Red Cross. I don't think you could actually get blood across the pond though in time. The blood would be bad by the time it got there, right? Actually, I dated someone, more than dated, in blood banking, and I found out some interesting things. But today we're checking out and appreciating this magazine. Man, things were really different back then. Like, for example, these guys are unalived, right? And back in the day, that was just standard in the newspaper for you to see images of unalived people. Huh. Emergency calls. Man, things were different back then. Oh, I remember that guy's giant nose. Montgomery, invasion leader, back in the day. While the war was still going on. Wait, was it still going on here? My dad was telling me that he was selling these newspapers when he was little. But he was born in the 50s. Kind of surprised it was still going on back then. Oh, that's some really beautiful art. Look, the kid said, you can see the house. Reversky, my house. They're just beyond that street light. Wow, that's something. That would be something. To just see your house beyond the street light while you're working for the army. And to know, yeah, that's my place over there. I'll go my way. Unfortunately, the heartbreaking story of women going their own way and what happens, the results of it, very heartbreaking. But it happens quite a bit. We don't like talking about it, but there was a lot of infidelity that went on when people went across the pond, when they went across the pond, and in the people that stayed behind. But can you really blame them in certain situations? At the same time, us who stay together here for a long time have a very difficult time with with infidelity. Nobody likes to talk about it. Oh, there's a beautiful. That's Vimy Ridge, right? Yeah, that's Vimy. Nobody likes to talk about it, but the progressive women that I knew, that they all wanted to go off to the big city, and when they got to the city, many of them, most of them, liked the clubbing life, and oh my goodness, the the culture that came out of the clubbing life, I had never witnessed anywhere else before. New beauty method. And the infidelity. I'm not talking partner swapping. I'm talking just infidelity. Drugs and infidelity in city women. Actually, that was before the Me Too movement. So, man, things must be really interesting for city women these days. Kellogg's Bran Flakes. Mmm, yummy. I love this retro stuff. My grandma was in the military. She came from Alberta, big family, and she left to join the service because she wanted to see the world. She told me stories I'm still kind of comprehending. Like, she went out to BC and she found families of people who lived in the ocean ultimately. They lived, how would they do that in the winter though? They lived on boats in the ocean, and she'd tell stories. Or maybe it was in the rivers. I'm not sure. Anyway, she tells stories about these individuals, and they'd have their babies, and they'd tie them to. They'd tie a rope around them and toss them out into the water, and that's how they'd learn to swim. I'm just telling you what my grandma told me about her adventures. But yeah, when she joined the military, there was two stories that my grandma told me that will always stick with me. One is very mundane, and that's sweeping the steps of Capitol Hill, or the sorry, our Parliament building here in Canada. And the other one was about some dumb private or sergeant. It was in the Air Force. She was in the Air Force, and he had thought that a grenade was done, and that there wasn't anything in the grenade, and he wanted to take it apart. That's the story that she gave me. That's the story she gave me. It's probably 30 years since she told me this story, but I thought it was the most hilarious thing as a kid. She told me she remembers seeing a severed arm or hearing a boom and then seeing a severed arm just fly up in the air, hang there for a brief second, and come right back down. Now, at the time, I had thought that might have been the funniest thing I'd ever heard. But these days, I'm like, oh man. Apparently, the guy survived. But I'm like, oh man. Like, when you get to be a certain age, when you realize how much things hurt, you, it stops being funny. And I legitimately kind of feel kind of bad about that because I am just the stupid enough type of guy that do something like that. And by testing the chaos, we have gotten so much further. Oh, here we go, the Vaseline hair tonic. Okay, so I go through a lot of Popular Mechanics magazine, and there's this Vaseline man, these advertisements. Vaseline man always has the answer to everything. In one of them, he can tell that a woman didn't kill a guy because he realized that the gun was smokeless, virtually smokeless, so you couldn't have seen smoke coming out of the gun. And another one, Vaseline man had realized that someone was trying to pass counterfeit money because he realized that Ben Franklin didn't have a na or something like that. Now, whenever I see Vaseline hair tonic, I think of just everyone has a contrarian friend where it doesn't freaking matter what you say. They know better than you, and there's a possibility that you could be wrong. And like, yeah, okay, I know there's a possibility, but do you have to play devil's advocate all the time and be that guy? Oh, check this guy out up here. That's very 50s ephemera art. Finger condoms. Oh, my old life mate who was working in blood banks hated it when people called them finger condoms. These little white wrappers you put on your fingers, right? Finger condoms. Yes, leather finger condoms. Very good. That's right. You go, girl. You go. That's power. Power. That's right. Women want equal rights. Well, get into the factories and they will have equal rights. They are in the factories doing badass stuff. I shouldn't say they're not in the factories at all. I just came from a factory that was full of nothing but powerful women. Very powerful women. Very powerful women. One a day. You know, it's kind of funny because the women saying that women need more and don't make enough money definitely weren't working in the factory with me because we were definitely all making the same amount of money. But we weren't all doing the same amount of work because we would not let certain women do certain jobs. We would not let certain women do certain jobs. As men, there were certain jobs that were just a little bit finicky, a little bit dangerous. But at the same time, if there was something that one of these women knew how to do that we didn't, man, right there. And they would take care of you. They would get you totes. They would check your products. They would check your parts. Anyways, let's end this with some good old Coca-Cola. Nothing's more American than Coca-Cola. Anywhere that you had Army men or that you had America, you had Coke. It's such an iconic thing that I wonder if that's the reason why all of the natives drink Pepsi. It's a thing. They don't tend to drink Coke, they drink Pepsi. I'm pretty sure you still can't get Coca-Cola in Russia. You can get something like it, but you can't get Coca-Cola. You can get Pepsi. There was a Russian who defected, and one of the terms was that he had to be given a lot of Coca-Cola, but they had to find a way to make it clear. And they found a way to make it clear just for him. Just for him. so you could drink Coca-Cola. What would be more decadent? Like, really, what would be more decadent than be a Russian drinking Coca-Cola that was switched to look like vodka? Really, what could be like Coca-Cola is pretty good, but it's not that good. It's a lot better than vodka. It's a lot better than vodka. I mean, like, let's face it, nobody ever has vodka and they're like, oh boy, I love vodka. Vodka is wonderful. I just want I'm having a sandwich. Give me some of that vodka. No, Coca-Cola, man. Coca-Cola. Anyways, have a good one, folks. That's it for me. Take care of each other. Happy holidays.